Recording in progress. Recording stopped. Recording in progress.
Good.
Thanks.
All right, good to see you. All right, nice to see you here.
All righty, Coach. Thanks for hopping on. We got lightning around week 6 here, and we'll start it out with Stephen Means from Cleveland.com. Stephen, go ahead.
Do something wrong first. Ryan, can you just talk about Paris Johnson and Dewan Jones and maybe the job they've done in the last 5 weeks and how you felt about the performance?
Yeah, I think when you look at what we've done the first 5 weeks, a big part of it's been the offensive line, and I think both those guys have made progress. There's certain things that they want to get better at and improve, but the challenges are going to come bigger and bigger as we move into the heart of conference play, and new challenge this week. But overall, you can see some improvements in different areas.
All righty, we'll go next to Austin Ward. Austin, go ahead.
Ryan, you said on the coaches show there that CJ graded a champion last week, and I guess maybe we get caught up too much in just the passing stats. What else is an evaluation of a quarterback to earn that status?
Yeah, so everybody has a different grading system, and at the end of the day, the system has to grade out at over 80%. And as a quarterback, when you have a running play where you're just catching the ball and handing it off. That doesn't count as much as a third down conversion. But there's also some things in the run game that you have to make hard decisions on, whether it's an RPO, whether it's a relief throw, whether it's reading somebody, and that's more and more important. So, we ask him to do a lot in all areas, check plays, make decisions in the run game, certainly help with protection. So there's always a lot on his plate. And so, at the end of the day, when you're scoring 7 touchdowns and 9 possessions, when you're the quarterback, you're doing something right.
All right, let's go next to Dan Hope from 11 Warriors.
Ryan, I think you only have 4 guys on the roster who played at 2018 against Michigan State.
Yeah.
Do you draw from those guys with them being the only ones who've actually played against fans there?
Yeah, I was hoping when I asked the question in Tuesday's meeting, I'd see more hands raised. I think I did, but then they said, well, that was in 2020. When I said that doesn't count. There was no fans in the stadium. So, no, I think our guys have played, in hostile environments before, but it's been a while. So we have some new faces that haven't. And anytime you go on the road, like you're saying, the older guys, veterans have to play veteran, and leadership is going to be critically important. So we are going to lean on those guys and really challenge them to lead the way for us.
Alrighty, next up, Clay Hall, ABC 6.
Brian, thank you. Mike, appreciate it. I can't decide between 2 questions. Let's go with what you were just talking about there. Your COVID lockdown situation in 20, you yelling at the TV. Can you recount some of that, of having to watch your team play from afar?
Yeah, I mean, it was very difficult. Sat in the basement with my son. The girl sat upstairs, and a lot of yelling at the TV, a lot of pacing around, watching the game. And then, as the game, got, the way it did there in the second half, got to at least enjoy watching it. I didn't say I relaxed, because you just never relax till the game's over. And some of those decisions that are made even in a game like that on, when do you, put some depth in, when do you not? Those are all big decisions that can have huge ramifications. So, try to communicate all that before the game. And it's hard, you just kind of a surreal experience when you're watching your team play and not being a part of it.
Thank you.
All righty, let's go next to Jared Smalley, WCMH.
Hi, Ryan. When we talked to your players last night, several of them used the term villain or bad guy to describe the role that they were finally going to get to play this weekend, where they've been the home team and the good guy. They were embracing that opportunity to go in and get booed a little bit and have some adversity in that regard. What's been your message to them about that unique opportunity and making a crowd on the road very quiet?
Well, we did talk about that the biggest difference, I know it kind of seems obvious, but you have to address it, is when you're home, you have a bunch of people cheering for you. When you go on the road, everybody in that stadium wants to see you lose. And so it's just a different environment, a different feel. And anytime Ohio State goes on the road, they are the villain, and when we go on the road here, it's not going to be any different. I mean, it's going to be a very hostile environment, and we got to bring it. And it's important to have fast start, but also have composure and maintain our focus in an environment like that, and not let that stadium or their fans affect the way we play. And so those are the conversations we had, but I do think that the guys have embraced that this week.
All righty, we'll go next to Nathan Baird, Cleveland.com.
Hey, Ryan, wanted to ask about the concept of Ohio State legacies coming in as either scholarship players or walk-ons. When you're possibly bringing in a player like that, what are the additional non-football factors that you sometimes have to consider?
Well, I think it's the position coach and Mark Pantoni's job to identify talent and the guys that we think can play on the field. As the head coach, it's my job to make sure they fit to the culture and making sure that we have a group here that really embrace what we do. And when you have people that are familiar with the program and what we do here and what it means to be a Buckeye, that certainly helps. And, we want to make sure that everybody we enter into the program understands what that means and is, perpetuating our culture And I think that's where, people who are familiar with the program embrace that. And that's important to have. Again, everybody on the team has a different role, but no one's more important than anybody else. And, a lot of guys have to embrace their role, whatever that might be for that season. And that role may change, but it is important for people to embrace roles. And I think a lot of guys have done that.
Righty, we'll go next to Bill Landis from Rivals.
Hey, Ryan. Dewan talked a lot in the offseason about taking the feedback he got from the NFL and really wanting to improve his footwork, his quickness, his pass protection. I know, as you said a couple of times this week, stiffer challenges are coming, but how would you assess that from him thus far? What kind of progress has he made?
I think it's a direct correlation to his body weight. Quite honestly, I think his body weight is allowing him to do things that maybe he couldn't do last year. And that's a daily fight for him. But I think you're starting to see a better version of him in all areas. I've been impressed with his energy and his attitude. I think, you look at the way his body looks right now, you look at his energy, you look at his attitude, you look at the way he's preparing. Yeah. Now you're starting to see better play. It all works hand in hand. And I mean, he's brought me up in practice at times, kind of, smacks me on the shoulder, and just kind of says, "Come on, coach, let's go." And I just, that energy is infectious, and seeing that out of him. And so because of all those things, you're seeing better play. And I think, he feels like, in the off season, he got challenged to enhance some of his strengths and improve his weaknesses. And I think you're seeing some of that going on.
Thanks.
All righty, we'll go next to Tony Girdman, Buckeye Huddle.
Ryan, you said on the radio show you're looking forward to getting Tanner and Cam back. Are you willing to say if that's happening this week?
Yeah, I'd rather not get into any of the injury updates right now. Things can change so quickly, and then once I start commenting on one, then I got to comment on somebody else. But again, even with those guys, they had a good week of practice here, so very positive about them.
Thanks.
Yep.
All right, we'll go next to Joey Kaufman, Columbus Dispatch.
Ryan, the interception that Steele had was triggered by Zach Harrison tipping that pass, and he lined up on the interior on that play. We just wanted to get your thoughts on how you think he maybe creates some mismatches, or just overall what's it like of some of the packages with Zach playing more interior.
I think we've been creative this year about trying to create some of those packages, and if that means Zach lines up on a guard, then that's great for us. And like you said, he had that tip that turned into the interception. He also had the sack fumble that Mike was able to jump on. So he's been productive and he's being disruptive now. And I think that's the job of coaches, to put him in positions to be successful, based on the matchups and what we're trying to do schematically. So we'll continue to do that, try to be creative and allow him to be disruptive.
All righty, we'll go to Tim May from Lettermen Row. Tim.
Thank you, Michael. Ryan, number one, does Mayan Williams get a second straight start this week, and primarily based on how he produced last week? And then number two, when you're standing on the sidelines like last week, can you feel the energy? And this isn't disparaging anybody else, but I'm just saying, just with him in there in that running game, can you feel the energy that he's generating? Because some of his teammates talked about that this week, about what that juice he brings to the attack.
Yeah, no, you can. He's running hard, but I think it's everybody involved. I think everybody has, done a nice job in the run game so far. Now we got to keep that going and find that balance. And, but yeah, I mean, and you saw him run really hard. You've seen our running backs run hard this year. So, we'll continue to play depth. We're going to have to play depth, just as we've talked about this before, and how we're going to split up the reps and all that. It's kind of on a week to week basis, based on everybody's health and things like that. So, very impressed with the way he ran last week, and know he's got a lot of great football ahead of him. But also, those other guys are going to play, and so we'll kind of figure that out on a week to week basis. But hoping to have Trey back this week.
Thank you.
All righty, we'll wrap it up with Bill Rabinowitz from the Columbus Dispatch.
Hi, Ryan. The linebacker play this year has obviously been so much better than last year. How much of that is just experience of those guys? How much of it is Jim Knowles' scheme and him coaching the linebackers? I'm sure it's a combination, but
Yeah.
what stands out the most to you about the difference in the linebacker play this year?
I mean, I would literally say it's 50-50. I think that it's the experience of playing another year, of going through all those types of things. Because you think about Pete Werner, Tuff Borland, Justin Hilliard, Baron Browning. That year, those are the four guys, and they all walked out the door, and then those other guys had to come in and play. One was a guy who got moved from running back. So that was a tall order. And when you think about those four guys, they didn't just do it in year one either. It took them a few years to get themselves going. You combine that with the fact that Jim is really doing an excellent job in the position room with them, coaching them as the coordinator. I think they're just much more in tune with the entire defense and how they fit into the defense. So I think it's really both of those things have been why you've seen better play out of the linebackers.
Thank you.
All righty, Coach. Thanks so much. We will talk to you Saturday.
Thanks, guys.